Well, as I mentioned, I'm always on the lookout for little nice sort of quirky, trendy items, and these are something that's really fun and funky. And these are from a German company that we trade with, and you could actually use, if you've got a greenhouse, these are great to hang in your greenhouse and use them for rooting cuttings. But I have one of these hung on the kitchen window, you know, the little handle on your kitchen window. I just hang it over there and I just drop a few flowers into here, and it's such a nice little thing to do. And it's quite nice, isn't it, to have flowers in a working environment like a kitchen. You spend a lot of time in your kitchen, I always think, so you've got a few flowers to tart it up. Such a lovely thing to do. Now, rudbeckias, great flowers. Now, you can get perennial rudbeckias, you can get annual rudbeckias, and these are the latter. These are the annuals. And I always sow a packet of these seeds every year, and I prefer to grow dwarf ones so they're not too big. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you can get a packet of seeds of these for, you know, £3 or whatever it is, and they will give you an abundance of blooms right through until the first frost. So I don't know how your own gardens are, but generally a lot of things have gone over by now, haven't they? Things are looking a little bit tired, a little bit past the best. But rudbeckias come into their own, and they start flowering usually sort of late July, August time, and they'll literally go on, and I've been picking these some years right at the end of November into December if we've not had frost. And they're a bit like sweet peas really. The more you pick, the more flowers they keep putting on. So don't feel guilty that you're picking them and you're, you know, denuding the plant of its flowers, because it will encourage it to keep putting out more blooms. A few red hot pokers. Do you like a red hot poker? It's not a leading question, you are all right. I quite like nithophias or red hot pokers, and I was at a flower show this weekend at the RHS Hollow Car flower show in Harrogate, and we were there, you know, and I was doing my usual stuff, and I was using some red hot pokers there, and I was saying to the audience it brought back a tale, and it was one of the early days when I'd gone down south demonstrating, and you know, for me as a, you know, village boy up north, down south seemed a different place really. And I'd, you know, demonstrated a few times in the home counties, and this one particular day it was a demonstration in central London, and it was sort of Kensington area, I can't remember exactly where, and it was, you know, before congestion charge and all the emission things and everything, so you could drive right into central London. And this is before mobile phones and sat-navs and all that type of thing, so you got written directions. Well, I went round and round and round Marble Arch so many times, I thought I was going to go dizzy. And I couldn't sort of make sense of these directions to get to the venue where I was demonstrating. And I was nearly in tears, you know, because like time was running away and I was losing my prep time. And it was, you know, quite a big, prestigious den. So I thought, oh, what on earth am I going to do? So I like pulled into the side again. You could just pull over, you know, nobody gave you a ticket. And I pulled over and there was a row of black cabs. So I went up to one, I said, excuse me, I said, I need to get to wherever it was in Kensington. And I said, if I pay you, can I follow you? So I paid the black cab, however much it would have cost to get there, and I followed him to get to the venue where it was. And, you know, I was so relieved to get there. And I started demonstrating, you know, when I was ready, and I was doing a design. And as I was prepping and getting ready, I'd heard this lady talking about her, you know, gardens and plants and stuff in a very southern, very plummy accent. And I heard her say, oh, and something I absolutely loathe, and I can't abide them in my garden, are red hot pokers. She said, they're hideous. She said, they're the absolute epitome of bad taste. Every council house has them. She said, I loathe them. Well, I opened my first box, and what had I got in? Red hot pokers. So I thought, oh, they might laugh about it. So I sort of said, right, so I'm putting some red hot pokers in here. I said, I brought these from my own garden at home. I said, but I've left my ferret behind. And the pigeons are in the loft. I said, but I've brought me red hot pokers. Nobody laughed. It was like deadpan. So I thought, oh, Jonathan, you're pitching it slightly wrong here. But yeah, so whenever I use a red hot poker, I always say, oh, the epitome of bad taste, a red hot poker. But there we are. So that's a nice little thing to just hang up, isn't it?